What's up, ladies and gentlemen, to another live stream. My name is Mr. McLogan, and in this live stream, I am going to just kind of give you a update or let you guys know again about the 30-day challenge. Last week, I went live and everything went messed up, and I was kind of bummed out that my kind of introduction with the challenge, or at least the reminder of like open a registration, kind of got messed up because I updated the software and things kind of got crazy. So just want to remind you, I am posting this because I wanted to see if you guys had any questions or if there's any issues getting into the 30-day challenge. And then obviously if you guys have questions, you guys can go ahead and add them in the chat. And then also as a bonus, I did want to let you guys know that I'm actually returning back to getting some math questions. So yes, I'm very excited. I had some math questions that I was like, oh, maybe I'll go and do these in another, live stream or whatever else. But I was like, you know what? I think I'm going to maybe adjust how I want to be able to handle that, or, kind of maybe look at this maybe in a different way. And so I'm not sure exactly how that's going to be about, but I was like, you know what? One of my things that's like one of the favorite things that I'm at least able to do is like just answer math questions. So if you guys do have any math questions inside the chat, then feel free guys to go ahead and post any of those questions. I'll try to answer, whatever question you guys have on the 30-day challenge, which again, you guys can go to at brianmclogan.com/challenge. I have that pinned in the chat as well as a text overlay I've sent here. And because I want to make it easy for you guys to go ahead and opt in. And I hope that you guys can be encouraged to. I also have a video coming out tomorrow that is going to talk more about it as well. So I think it's pretty cool. I think it's pretty exciting, and hopefully you guys will can benefit from it. And again, it's open for Algebra 1, Algebra 2, Geometry, Pre-Calculus, as well as Calculus students. And it's no charge. It's free. And I will be going live on Friday, kind of having like some special fun with you guys as during the stream. What was the challenge? Well, the challenge is a 30-day math challenge. So if you go to brianmclogan.com/challenge, you can go ahead and opt into the challenge if that is something that you are interested in. And if you're not interested in it, then that's totally cool. Like it's just a way to kind of get you guys prepared as we start to get ready for exam season. Because I feel like once you kind of get ready for exam season, it's too late. So I think the best time that you need to start preparing or need to start thinking about your exam is going to be right now. And that's kind of the start of the 30-day challenge, math challenge for you. Because I have a pre-calc test tomorrow, and I feel like I'll fail this again, like the first test. What do you recommend I should do? Because I struggle with trig identities right now and all that stuff. Yeah, trig identities is tough, to be honest with you. I mean, I can't give you like something you can do, in 5 minutes that's going to fix all of your problems with trig identities. They take a lot of practice. Okay. So my recommendation is, just kind of focus on what you know. Don't dwell on the stuff that you don't know or that's difficult for you. Just focus on what you can figure out, what you're confident in, and just kind of lean into that, right? And hopefully that's not going to make you fail a test, but sometimes it just might you just need a little bit more time to understand and refine yourself on the material. Maybe that's all it. So the challenge. So the 30-day math challenge is a challenge that I've been running on my channel for, I think this is the third year I've been doing it. And basically all you do is you go ahead and opt in. You can select your challenge. And then basically what I do is I send you a math question every single day on email. So I do it in the morning, and then therefore you can go ahead and submit your answer in a Google Doc, right? And that day. And if you get it wrong or you didn't understand the question or whatever may be the case, then the next day I will send you a video explaining the answer. So the problem, you get like instant feedback if you got it right or wrong. But then the next day when I send you your new question, I also provide you with an answer sheet. So therefore you can go ahead and like check your work and stuff like that. So it's a pretty cool way to, I think, get used to like being consistent with your studying and doing your math, because that's really like the whole goal. It's really not trying to like challenge you with like, how smart are you or how many math questions can you do? No, it's really about like being, consistent with your math problems. Excuse me. And with your studying and with your habits. And that's why I want to do the challenge, because I feel like a lot of students struggle in that area and they think it's just maybe like studying math. It's just like doing the review or, studying your notes like the night before the test. And it's like, no, that's not what it takes to be successful on your test. So that's why I wanted to have the challenge. And that's what it's basically about. But unfortunately, no, I do not have anything on statistics. I am sorry. And do you have any video reviewing major Algebra 1 topics? Yeah, I mean, I have a whole playlist on Algebra 1 videos. So, I have a whole video or a whole channel, not channel, a whole playlist on Algebra 1 videos. So you can definitely go ahead and check those out. I think that might be helpful there for you. I'm taking calculus with this 30-day challenge. Also have calculus problems. Yeah. So I have a 30-day challenge for calculus. So it is 30 calculus problems. And then, I also remind students, I'm like, I'm not here to make you do more math, because it's not like I'm giving you a grade or anything like that. Like there are some giveaways and some things that I am excited to, kind of do for you guys. But yeah, it's not a, let's see, put it this way. It is, what was I going to say? I'm not really sure what I was going to say. But yeah, it's like, you can take it, it's not a grade, right? So, but it's, but if like, maybe you want to do the calculus, maybe you want to do pre-calculus, maybe you want to do algebra 2. Like, a lot of students struggle sometimes in courses because they don't recall the stuff they learned in a previous course, right? So it might be beneficial. It might be good for you to, work on some of the other, even if you're not taking algebra 1, maybe you want to do the algebra 1, like make sure that you can do that material. Make sure to remember that. Maybe you're not taking a math this year. I'm not sure why you'd be on this stream, but maybe, like who knows? So therefore you can take that information, or take any of those challenges and work on there. Like, so there's a lot of options, that I think you guys can do. And again, like, yeah, if you're like, want to take on the whole world, then you can do all the challenges if you want to. Hey, Gail, I'm McLogan. In a way, I can't believe we're halfway done with the school year. I know, it's crazy. We are now in the final stretches, because once we're getting to March and April, which is kind of like the kind of spring break, kind of season. And then it comes into the second half of April is April and May, which is like exams and graduations. And April and May from there. And I know some of you guys going into June, but yeah, I just kind of consider what the April and May is like the exam season. Brandon says, hello, I'm refreshing my memory with algebra basics. I'm having trouble with nested fractions. Well, if you have a specific question that you want me to ask on like a math question, then all you simply need to do is go into Brian McLogan, brianmclogan.com/Q&A. So that is also in the description. You can also go there and yeah, you can submit questions, because I'm actually going to go through some math questions tonight. That's something I haven't done in a while. So I'm kind of excited about that. But yeah, for those of you that are, again, interested in the challenge, you can just go to brianmclogan.com/challenge. Again, guys, it is a free challenge. It's just one math question. Some of them are easy, some of them are hard. And you just, submit them on a Google Doc, and that's about it. So if you want to do them in your head, cool. If you want to take out a sheet of paper and just like doodle it right there, like, cool. Like that's all it requires. And yeah, we'll do some bonus live streams for those of you that are part of the challenge. And yeah, we'll have some giveaways. We'll have some fun. And yeah, I'm excited for it. So again, it's completely free. It's not something that you guys need to do if you are busy and anything else. The cool thing though about it is that the cool thing about the stream, or the cool thing about the challenge is like, if you feel like you're already busy and stuff like that, and you're like kind of concerned, like, oh no, I don't know if I'm going to have like enough time to be able to complete, like, I send you the question, like, you don't have to do it within a time period. You have as much time as you possibly need to go ahead and take, to go ahead and do like checking on the challenge. So that's, I think that's kind of the nice thing about it. Like if you have busy days and stuff like that, things get overwhelming, that's cool. Like just, spend the time as you need. And that's about all you have for a mind there. Oh, I'm sorry. Add your question. And yeah, so Cody, like as far as like, how does it work? Like, again, I just email it to you, you do the question, and then you type it in the Google Doc. Okay. So there's no prizes like for if you get them all in them right. Like obviously I want you to get them right, but it's really, again, it's not, the focus is really not on the math. The challenge is doing something consistently, because, one thing I will be talking about when we get into our exam season coming up is like preparing for exam. Like, you rather than like cramming the night before a test, what you want to be doing is doing a little bit of math each and every night. Right. And that's what I'm trying to instill with you guys, is to do a little bit of math, little by little, each and every night. Ash says, hello, I'm in algebra 1. And my question is, how do you know when to use plus or minus in a power of a power? I'm not sure what you mean in a power of a power, in a power of a power. So again, any like math questions, a lot of times it's for me to be able to get like specific with any like any like answer. I really appreciate when you guys go to brianmclogan.com/Q&A. That way, you can go and post a picture, or you can actually type it in exactly there. So therefore, I kind of have a better idea, and therefore I'm also like not explaining things that maybe it's not what you're actually need help on, or or it's not in the exact same context that you were looking for. Mr. Rep says, would you say practice is the key to everything? No one is just born smart. No, I mean, I definitely think there is like some innate intelligence that we are all born with, right? And we're all going to have different, characteristics or different things that we are attracted to, and that we like, or that we have like some inherent strengths, right? But again, yeah, I completely agree with you. Like if you're not putting any of those strengths to like use, and you're not doing anything with those strengths, then yeah, you're not going to get any better with that. And again, the same thing, like let's say you're not born with some certain strengths, but if you put in a practice and you get better at them, like you can definitely improve upon those, like any weaknesses or anything else like that. So yeah, I completely agree. I took an online test without teacher permission, but the teacher left the test open and they were absent. Is this justified? I don't know what to say to that. I'm not saying like, I don't know what, I mean, I think immediately once you say without the teacher's permission, that kind of leaves you in a bad position at that moment. So, I would probably say no, just because, especially when you're dealing with a test, that can be an issue. But again, it's not my class, or it's not my circumstance when I did it. So, whatever I say doesn't really matter. But yeah, I mean, I don't know who you need to talk to or whatever else. Like I definitely go and talk to them about that though. I have the worst math motivation in the world. Do you have any tips that would help me be motivated to practice? Oh, I'm getting tired. I don't really have any specific tips on, getting, I think like I do have a video on get motivated for math that you can maybe go and check out if you are interested in like getting a more detailed kind of explanation, description on that. But I think in general, what I would just, I think you got to understand like why your motivation is only going to come from like what we call like innate motivation. Like you got to have a purpose of what you're doing and why you're doing it. Right. And if you're just doing it for like the grade, like that can be very short-lived. And sometimes, that can be when things really, really get tough, you can really kind of give up on it, and not care. So, I mean, sometimes grades, is what holds people or pushes them, far again. Like that can be very, very strong motivator for a lot of students. But I think for a lot of times though, too, that's not enough. So I think what you need to do is you need to challenge yourself. Obviously some discipline and having some, but also having something to work for. Like, why are you doing this, or like what are the benefits, setting some goals and kind of seeing like what are the benefits if I do this or if I don't do this, or what are the consequences going to be. And I think just having thought that through and having that as kind of like, I don't know, more or less like a vision, in front of you that what you're going to be working for, I think can help you wake up and be not so much get motivated, but stay motivated, stay focused on your purpose. And I think if you're understanding what and why you're doing it, and how you want to get there, then I think it's a little bit easier to kind of draw that, I would say, like that natural innate motivation. I have a ton of word problem videos. So what made you want to be a teacher? I think I had some really good teachers when I was in high school, and that I really enjoyed. And I thought it was like a great profession to kind of follow in their footsteps. So yeah, that's basically really about it. Having triangle with triangle. Well, I have no idea what types of triangles you are talking about. So again, if you have any questions, you can go to brianmclogan.com/Q&A and you can submit your question there. All right, guys, I am going to go over into some math questions now. You guys can still post your questions inside the chat. I think, let me go and switch this around. I think I can still see your math or any other questions. So if I have any, I will still, let's see if that pops up. Oh yeah, it does. Okay, perfect. Yes, that's awesome. Okay. Yeah, so what I can be able to do is I'll still be able to see your stuff. And then, yeah, there we go. But yeah, if you have any more additional questions, you guys can go from there. Awesome. Okay, cool. Voila. Hey, where's my little thing? Sorry, I'm just trying to move this around. I want to see where that little guy go. There I am. Cool. Okay. Sorry, I'm getting everything kind of used to over on here. But anyways, if you guys have any questions, you guys can go to brianmclogan.com/Q&A. Any math questions, that's where I'm getting these. And you can see Livestream 2023. I started this, guys, in 2020. Actually, yeah, I think I started going consistently live in 2020. So I think this is on my third full year. It's crazy. Absolutely crazy. Yeah, why would you not show up? Oh, I want you over here. There you go, so I can see. Okay, cool. All right, so I'll go into those questions, and then yeah, if you guys have anything like a quick question, like Darth Vader says, quick question: is the product of an odd function and an even function an odd or an even? Verify your result algebraically. Ooh, that's a good one. Submit that into the Q&A so I can remember it, and I'll go back through there. But again, you can do a quick version of that, or a quick little like verify. Like if you were to do, it doesn't really matter. Like we could look at a couple different options, but a is an odd function and an even function. So an odd function would be like x, and an even function would be, an even function would be like x squared. Well, what's x times x squared? That's x cubed, which is a odd function. So it looks like an odd times an even would be an odd. And then we can maybe verify that with maybe some different odd and even functions, see if that still is true. I have a quiz on geometric sequences and means of Tuesdays. Do you have any videos on those? I believe I do, and not so much on. Yeah, I do have geometric sequences and means. Yeah, so just definitely go and check it out. Okay, so let's get into a couple of these questions, because I do apologize. Some of these questions are submitted a long time ago, and I just never got to them. I want to do some different things on them, so I do apologize. All right. So the first one says, given a set of vertices, determine whether QRTS is a parallelogram, a rhombus, a rectangle, or a square. Oh, I'm sorry. I have one last thing I forgot to mention, guys. Again, the whole purpose of this live stream, guys, is to go to brianmclogan.com/challenge. If you have not already checked out the 30-day stream, the 30-day challenge, I will talk about it. Or if you have any questions on the 30-day challenge, then feel free just to go ahead and post them. Feel free to go ahead and post them in the chat, and I'll be more than happy to answer any of your questions. And so, yeah, I'll do these math and also try to get to some of your guys' questions here in the chat. Like, I'm doing a parallel transversal, and if I don't get done with this, I'll be in big trouble. I gotcha. Well, get it done. You got it. Opposite interior angles, alternate interior angles, corresponding angles, right? Make sure you know those. How have a question, is Khan Academy a good math app to help a self-taught student? Yeah, I would think so. I mean, it depends on what you're looking for, but I think it's like very robust app that you can definitely learn full on math. Obviously every app or every instructor is like, you're going to relate differently, and like have better characteristics, but I still feel like, I think Khan Academy for a large population of students is going to be a great start. All right, so let's go into this one. Now, there's a couple ways we can just prove it's a parallelogram. Like if the diagonals have the same midpoint, we can say that there is that they are a. Well, I'm sorry. Well, post some questions on what you're having trouble with, and we can help. And again, it'll be much. But yeah, let me get through these questions I have, and then I can maybe see if you whatever thing you have. And again, guys, if you have a math question, go to brianmclogan.com/Q&A. That is the best and easiest way for me to be able to see what you are working on. And then after this, if you have, I'll do any open Q&A after that, and I'll see what I can help you guys with. All right. So on this question, first thing you want to do is, in my opinion, is just to plot everything. So Q is -2, 1. So I'm just going to go ahead and plot everything out there. So there is going to be Q. We have R, which is -1, 2. Okay. We have S, which is 4, 1. So 4, 1. And then we have T, which is 3, -2. Okay. So it looks like it's going to be a parallelogram, right? And again, you could find the diagonals if you want to, but our main thing is that we want to be able to tell is like, all right, what type of parallelogram it is, okay? Because again, if we can show that it is a rectangle or a square, or even a rhombus, then or QRST is a parallelogram. Is it a rhombus, right? Which is going to be something that's going to have 4 equal sides, or that are not perpendicular, or is it a rectangle, which is going to have 4 perpendicular sides, where 2 opposing sides are equal, or is it going to be a square? Okay, so list all that apply, because obviously a square is a rectangle, right? As well as a rhombus. So let's go ahead and see. So I think the first thing we need to do though is double check our, let's go and see our links. So is QR congruent to TS? So in this case, what we need to do is use the distance formula. So if you remember the distance formula, it's going to be x2 minus x1 y squared plus a y2, oops, not squared. So y2 minus a y1 squared. Okay, so we're going to do QR. So we can do these two. So that'd be a, so let's go and see what this is going to be. So it'd be a -2 minus 1 y squared plus a -1 minus 2 y squared. And as that can be the same as t to s. So again, make sure though, I went q to r. So we got to make sure we're going from t to s. So we got to keep that to be the same. So again, we want these to be equal here. So therefore, that's going to be a 3 minus 4 y squared. And then that's going to be plus a -2 minus 1 squared. All right, so -2 minus 1 is a -3. -3 squared is going to be a 9. -1 minus 2 is going to be a -3. -3 squared is going to be 9. So that's going to be the square root of 18. You don't need to simplify. We just want to make sure that they're going to be the same. Here is going to be a, so that's a 3 minus a 4. T to an S. So they are not the same. 3 -2. Yeah. And then 4 1. Okay. Let me just make sure I did this. -2 minus 1 is a -3. And then, did I write this one? -1 minus 2. I could have, how would they not be the same? What am I doing? What happened here? -2, Q to R, right? Q to R, doesn't matter. So -2. Oh, there it is. -2. Yep, I knew I was going to, -2 minus a -1. So minus a -1, right? Which is really a positive one. So I made a mistake. I was wondering, I'm like, I made a mistake somewhere. So that's actually a plus, right? So that's a negative, so that's a -1 squared. So that's actually square root of 10. And this one's going to be the same thing. -1 squared is a 1 plus 9. So that's going to be square root of 10. Okay, so they're equal to each other. That's good. Now let's go and check these other two. So let's say RS, and that can be congruent to QT, right? So we know that these two are equal to each other. Let's see if these opposing sides are going to be equal to each other. So we have RS and QT. So RS and then QT. All right, so again, be careful with your things here. So RS, so this is going to be a -1 minus 4 y squared plus a 2 minus 1 y squared. And again, we want that to be equal to a QT. So that's going to be -2 minus a 3 y squared plus a -1 minus a -2. So here, there we go. I'm being very careful now. Yeah, all you got to do is set x equal to 0 and then solve for y, and that's it. So in this case, we're going to have a -1 minus 4, which is a -5. -5 squared is 25. And so 2 minus 1 is a 1, so 1 squared, so that's going to be 26. And let's see if this one, this is going to be a -2 minus a 3, which is going to be a -5. -5 squared is going to be 25, and that's going to be a 1. So yep, that's going to work out. So equals 26. Okay, cool. So this is important. So now these two sides are equal to these two sides, right? We've just proved by the distance formula. And again, you might say like, oh yeah, that took a lot of work. Like it did, like, you know, it's a lot. But again, so just because these two sides, now are these two sides exactly the same? No, they're not. So therefore, we know it's not a square. Okay. Now it could be a rectangle or a rhombus. Now the difference between those two is a rectangle have perpendicular sides. So we only need to do two sides, and we just want to be able to see like, all right, what is the slope from Q to R? Okay. And is that slope going to be perpendicular to the slope of Q to T? Okay. So again, we have like 2 points here. So QR, and all we need to do then is just find the slope, which is going to be, slope is going to be y2 minus y1 all over a x2 minus an x1. Okay. So in this case, let's do, I just need to do it once. So let's do I have any more room? I barely have any room. Let's do slope over here. All right. So let's do, yeah, I said QR, right? So therefore, so QR, so slope of QR. And I will do a, so this would be a 2 minus a negative 1 divided by a negative 1 minus a negative 2. All right, so this slope turns out to be a double negative, so that's a 3. And this is a double negative as well, so that's a 2, so that's a over 1. All right, so that is the slope of, let's just do, so that is the slope of, yeah, QR. And let's do another slope here of, again, we need to do like a QT or RS, doesn't really matter. Let's just do QT. Okay, so the slope of QT, and so therefore that'd be like a change of y is a negative 2 minus a negative 1. Notice how I'm using parentheses. And then this one's going to be a 3 minus a negative 2. And again, if this is going to be perpendicular slopes, they're going to have opposite reciprocal, right? So up top here, we have a minus a negative, so that's going to be a positive 1, so that's a negative 1. And then this is going to be a 2 minus a 5, double negative, but that's going to give me a 5. These are not opposite reciprocals, right? So therefore, these are not perpendicular. So we can say that it's not a rhombus, right? Because they're not all the same. It's not a rectangle because they're not perpendicular. They're not opposite reciprocal slopes. So this is just going to be a parallelogram. Whew, quite a bit of work for all that. I can, but it depends on what your question is. So if you submit your question to brianmclogan.com/Q&A, then I'll try to be able to help you out as best I can. And then also, if you're just joining in the stream, you want to go check out the math challenge, go ahead and check out back at the beginning of the live stream where I talk a little bit more about that, or just go to the live stream. You'll see a video and see how everything's at. That's a lot. You know, obviously I'd speak with your parents, speak with your teacher, speak with your counselor, speak with your math teacher, and see if that's something you would recommend like at your level. All right. It says if a rectangular prism has a square base. Okay. So let's draw a rectangular prism with a square base. Okay. And as a base with a length x. Okay. So square base, that means that's x and that's x, and a height y. So let's go ahead and draw something with a height y. Okay. All right. It says the volume is 32 meters cubed. Prove that the surface area is 128 divided by x plus x squared. Okay. So we know that the volume is equal to a 32 meters cubed, right? All right. Now, what do we know about how to find the volume when we have the three sides of a rectangular prism? Well, here we know that the length times width times height is going to give you the volume, right? So I can say an x squared times y is equal to a 32 m cubed. Then it says prove that the surface area of 128 divided by x plus is equal to x squared. So how do we find the surface area? Well, to find the surface area, remember what you're going to have is you're going to have the base. So that's going to be an x squared, right? You have the base. You're going to have the top, right? Which that's going to be a plus an x squared, right? That's an x squared and that's an x squared. And then you're going to have the lateral surface area, which is going to be all the sides. Now the lateral surface area is just going to be x times y, right? So we'll just say plus the sides. So that's going to be x times y. But again, how many of them do we have? Right? We have 4 of them. So it's going to be 4 times xy. Now the problem is we don't know what y represents. However, couldn't we just divide by an x squared? and say y is equal to a 32 meters cubed divided by an x squared. Yeah, I think it kind of works, right? So therefore I can say this is going to be a x squared plus an x squared plus a 4x times y, which is now a 32 meters cubed all over an x squared. Okay, so now you can see these x's here. That will divide out. And then 4 times 32, 32 times 2 is 64, so that'd be 128. Now I'm getting a 2x squared plus 128 meters cubed all over x. So they're saying that it's plus just 1x squared. And I'm not sure if I made a mistake or where I'd go from there, but I'm not sure what else you would do to only get 1x squared, because they're not talking about lateral area. Prove the surface area. I'm not sure. I don't know. If anybody has any points or anything on there, let me know. So this one says find the radian measures corresponding to the following degree measures. I know this is kind of really bad, but so all you really have is like a degree. Okay. So if you want to go from degrees to radians, all you need to do is follow a certain conversion ratio. All you're going to do is you're going to multiply this by pi over 180 degrees. If you want to go from radians to degrees, you're going to multiply by 180 degrees all over a pi. Okay. So if I have a 25 degrees or negative 240, it doesn't really matter. But if I'd have 25 degrees and I want to go and convert this to radians, I'm going to multiply by a pi over 180 degrees. So I guess I might as well do that. I feel like an idiot trying to have to go and check my work, which I did. 36. There we go. Okay. And now we can basically just kind of simplify this. So I'd have a 25 pi all over 180, right? And basically now you can see the degrees are going to divide out. And then you just want to simplify this and you say, all right, well, I can reduce a 25 over 180. What number can I divide it both by? To me, it obviously kind of looks like not 25, right? But maybe 5, because those are the only factors of 125. Will be 25 and 1 and 5. So therefore, I know that 5 is going to divide into 180, which again is going to be a 36. So that's a 5 pi all over a 36. And there it is in radian mode. All right, and here's another question. So we got to simplify the radicals. Now, the only problem with radicals here is you can only combine radicals when their radicand is exactly the same. Okay, so this is not exactly the same. So what I got to be able to do is say, all right, how can I simplify this? Now, for it to be simplified, you basically want to be able to see if you can divide it by a square number. Now, the obvious kind of thing to do would be like, all right, how many times, like, I can't simplify 42. There's no square number that evenly divides to 42. I'm thinking about 9, 4, 16, 25. They don't do it. So therefore, what I'm going to do is say, well, how many times does 42 divide into 378? Maybe that goes into square number. And so if I take 378 divided by 42, that goes in there 9 times. Aha, that works. So I'll take 100 times a 9 times a, was it 378? No, not 378, 42. And that's plus a 80 times the square root of 42. Okay, now I can simplify this to square root of 9 is just 3. So 3 times 100 is going to be a 300 times square root of 42 plus an 80 times the square root of 42. And square root of 42 plus square root of 42 is just going to be the square root is going to be a 2 square root of 42, right? So basically when you're adding radicals, just kind of like x, if I had like if I said 300x plus 80x, right? You're not actually adding the x, you're adding the coefficients. That'd be a 380x. Well, the same thing we're going to do here, guys. This is going to be a 380 times the square root of 42. And voila, there you go. And then this student asks, for rational expressions for adding and subtracting, what is the least common denominator? So the least common denominator is going to be the smallest number or expression that both of your denominators are going to divide into. So it doesn't matter if it's like rational expressions or, I mean, let me just kind of do a quick little example. So if I had like a 1/2 plus 1/3, right? What's the least common denominator? The least common denominator in this case is going to be a 6, right? Because 2 divides to 6 and 3 divides to 6. 6 is the smallest number that both 2 and 3 divide into, right? Because if you listed out their multiples, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, and then you did 3, 6, 9, right? 12. You'd notice that 6 is the smallest number that they both divide into, right? It's the smallest multiple. Well, what about if I had 1 over a x plus 2 plus a 1 over an x plus 3? Now you might say, well, Mr. McLogan, I don't know the multiples of x plus 2. I don't know the multiples of x plus 2 and the multiples of x plus 3. And you're like, yeah, that's kind of weird. Like, I don't really get that as well. So the thing, though, that I want you to understand is like, how do you get 3? How do you get 6? Well, 2 times 3 is equal to 6, right? And that's the same thing over here. Like if you want to find the least common denominator, unless something can be like divided out, or I'm sorry, I'll get to that in just a second. But in this case, the easiest way to identify the least common denominator in this case would just be to multiply your two denominators. It's just going to be x plus 2 times an x plus 3. Now, the difference where this can change is like, what if I had an x plus 2 plus a 1 over a x squared plus a 5x plus 6, right? And this is where students usually get confused. And that's kind of like the same thing. What if I had a 1/2 plus a 1 over 6? Now, again, you're trying to find the LCD, right? Well, in this case, the LCD is just 6 because 6 divides into 6, obviously, and 2 divides into 6. So you don't want to list out the multiple. You don't need to list out the multiples of 2 and 6 because 2 evenly divides into 6. Now, you might not say, well, I don't know about polynomials. I don't know x plus 2 divides into that. Like, that's kind of confusing. So what you might want to do is say, oh, why don't we simplify this? And look at x plus 2 times an x plus 3. So if you can simplify your denominator, what you can recognize here is the LCD, in this case, is still going to be the same. It's going to be an x plus 2 times an x plus 3, right? Because you already have an x plus 2 in common, but the only other thing that you need in common is an x plus 3, which this one has, but this one does not. So the least common denominator is going to be the smallest. A lot of times we call this multiple, is the smallest multiple that that your denominators are going to evenly divide into. So there you go, ladies and gentlemen. Hopefully that was helpful for you. And I am taking more questions, so I can answer about anywhere from like, I don't know, 3 to 5 math questions on each of my live streams. So if you do have a math question, go to brianmclogan.com/Q&A. This is my last live stream talking about my challenge because the challenge starts on Wednesday. So if you've not already signed up for the 30-day math challenge, then go to brianmclogan.com/challenge. Go ahead and sign up for 1, 2, 3, 4, maybe just 1, but whatever challenges you want to, Algebra 1 all the way through calculus. And I hope you guys will enjoy it and see me on there. We're going to have some giveaways and some prizes and some extra live streams. And I'm definitely looking forward to, I don't know why I was going to think. Come on, there we go. I'm definitely looking forward to seeing you guys inside the challenge, as well as seeing you guys in my next live stream next week. Cheers.